having a bit of a camp here. What do you hope to get out of this?
Oh, just a bit of a change of scenery. Obviously, a bit of travel involved for some of the boys tomorrow. 3 o'clock game. There's a fair bit to it. Yeah, and it's good to come into camp always.
Yeah, and get a bit of bonding. Obviously, plenty of new signings in the off season. Just little things like this continue to help bring the team close together.
Yeah, well, it's really the first time we've travelled. And as I said, some of the boys are got an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, so it just takes that bit of a heat out on game day. So that's the only reason. But yeah, it's great to come to camp and, as I said, change the scenery.
Good win last weekend. Not just get a win, but also against Melbourne. Have you noticed a rise in confidence or energy around the group?
We've had a good week. Obviously there's no sort of, players in doubt through injury, so it's been a good one. It's only early days, so I'd like to think that, individually that they get a bit of confidence out of that, and as a team, that we can win, against good sides. So, but you got to do it back to back and week after week. You just can't do it one week and then, not do it the following week. So no matter who you play, so it's important this week that we back it up.
Have you noticed the change in Gutho this week at all, leading into the game?
To be really honest, I haven't. Gutho, level of intensity and preparation is pretty high every week, so I haven't noticed any difference this week.
Do you think he will just have a point to prove, though? I think most try assists this season, getting told that he wasn't going to be a long-term fullback, or at least in the future plans for his old club. Do you think that's obviously a bit of fire him to do what he's done so far this year?
Look, obviously there's a little bit of that, but I think, he's a professional. He knows, in this sport, sometimes, he might have thought that he was going to stay at Parramatta his whole career and things change. And he's got on with it. So, he doesn't talk about it. His level of intensity and his attitude to training hasn't changed. So, I just think you'll see the normal Clint Gutherson, the way he's been his whole career.
Is it natural, Flano, that even if he's his normal level all week, that he's a guy who always plays on so much heart, and that sort of brings out the best in him, that when he crosses the white line tomorrow night, he sees Parrot at the other end, that it probably that effort level almost goes, level up almost there?
Be nice.
Yeah.
Imagine if we get an improvement on what he's been doing for us at the moment. So, he's been so important to our start of their season, our off season, and then our future. So, if we can get a spike out of him because of what's on the other side of the opposition, it's great. It'll be great.
You knew what you were getting when you get him, right? Because he's been around for so long. But has he even been better than what maybe you thought he'd be? He's been so good over the first month of this competition.
I don't want to play down his impact that he's had on the club, but he's everything that I thought I'd get. He hasn't been better and he hasn't been worse. He's exactly what I knew I'd get, and he's lived up to expectation.
Can you believe that you were able to get your hands on him at this point in his career?
Recruitment and retention is a tricky one, so you just never know, and we're in the right place at the right time, and he's done a good job for us so far, but let's be really honest, it's not about Clint tomorrow. He's just one player in a team. He's our fullback. He'll have an influence, but he's not going to, he's just going to be part of a team performance.
On the other side, is Zach Lomax a player you expect will rise against his former club?
Not my concern, to be honest. He's a good player and he's playing against his club the same as Clint, but I can't control that, so control the controllables.
Obviously, you and Lockie Ilias were in the headlines a couple of weeks ago. How did you see him respond to that kind of incident?
Yeah, he's done a good job. And as I said, halfbacks are such a crucial role in a team, and when you win, they get their accolades, and when you don't win, sometimes they're in the firing line, and Lockie knows that, and all our players know that if we don't win footy games, they're going to be subject to maybe some criticism, and I could have handled it a better way maybe, but it is what it is, and Lockie's responded.
Do people need to realise that Lockie spent a long time out? It was a bad injury, and that it still will take some time for him to get to his best.
Yeah, when he couldn't train with us until February, he was still rehab running, so it was a long injury and a long time out of the halfback role in a footy team. So to have 1 month and then jump into trials is a tricky one, and I've seen him getting better week after week, and he's showing no signs, which he was before about, obviously we had to reduce his load because of his leg, but now he's back fully recovered, so Lockie's improvement is getting week to week.
How much of a step forward do you reckon your halves took last week? Flano was a combination.
Our halves?
Yeah.
Oh, they were good. They did their job, they're so important to us. Thought that they defended well, which is the main thing against Melbourne Storm, and they got our plays on and we scored some tries. As I said, it's that position, the number on your back is open to criticism sometimes, and Kyle's been there and will probably be there again, but as I said, if you're winning footy games, they help and they get their accolades, but sometimes when you're not, they look at you first, which I don't. It's a team performance, but they're both doing a good job and played well against last week.
Just going back to Zach, I know you say you can't control what he feels or control the controllables, but you coached him for a year. How do you think he would approach this kind of game mentally? Like, you know what he's like. Well, what do you sort of expect just from his mentality?
Look, I don't want to go into it, to be honest. He's not one of my players. I know Zach really well, but I'm worried about my 17 before I worry about that too much.
What are your memories of last time you played Para at around 26, that crazy 44-40 game?
Yeah, it won't be like that. Definitely won't be like that. That was a crazy game. Para had not much to play for. They were at the back end of their season, 2 games left, I think, or 1 game left at the end of the season. They threw the ball around and we didn't respect the football and didn't defend well and probably thought we were just going to roll through them, and it didn't happen. Different part of the season, 2 different footy teams, different attitude, both clubs, so it won't be anything like that.